This is what we are. We are alive.
Good afternoon, thanks for having me. First of all, I would like to introduce you to people I met not exactly 1 year ago in the refugee camps on northern Greece, close to the Macedonian border. One is Catalan and one is Syrian. Let's begin with the Syrian. Ahmed. He is 44. He is from Aleppo, Syria. I guess you know this city. And he has 3 kids. He's in fact a lucky man because he could manage to flee from Syria at the beginning of the war, so about 4 years ago. He could cross all the borders in his way to Germany before they shut them down. And at that time, 1 year ago, he was living and working in Germany among 1 million other Syrians. He had a place to live, he had a job in Germany, he had a passport, a European passport, and he was able to travel all around Europe with this passport. After 3 years, 3 long years, far from his family, he saved enough money to go back home and visit his wife and his 3 babies, his whole family. But his family didn't live in Syria anymore. They also had to escape from there because of the war. And they were stuck in a refugee camp in Greece. So Ahmed had to meet all his family, not at home, but in this refugee camp. It was so shocking after all this year, after 3 years. They spent just 4 days together. And after this time, after these 4 days, Ahmed went back to Germany because he had to work. He had to go back to work again. So he left his wife and his 3 babies there under a tent on the mat. He left his whole family under a tent in a refugee camp. Can you imagine living this? Can you imagine yourself in this situation? How human is this? There's a European law recognizing what we call family reunification. It allows families to stay together, but no European government is truly enforcing this law. So Ahmed lives far from his family. The second person I want to introduce you is Teresa. She's Catalan. She works in a Catalan hospital as a midwife, and she was volunteering in several refugee camps when I went there 1 year ago. I met her the night she had arrived. She was nervous, very nervous, because she didn't know exactly what her work would be there. I met her once again in the next evening, and she had to spend the whole morning in the hospital of Kilkis. Kilkis is the capital city of the region. That hospital, she told me, was terribly damaged because of the economic cuts. The austerity policies meant that lots of doctors, lots of nurses had to be fired. And it was a really humble hospital. They used to assist about 20 childbirths every week. But with thousands of refugees living around, the figure increased up to 60 a week, so 3 times more. The hospital was completely collapsed without enough beds for everyone. So the doctors couldn't even wait for natural birth. All the births had to be via cesarean section. As you know, this kind of surgery, this cesarean section, requires at least 4 or 5 days in hospital. But they cannot wait so much time. Women are sent home in 24 hours. And I said home, but they don't have a home. They live in a tent without a chair to sit. So on that second day, I met Teresa. She told me, I already know what I have to do here in the refugee camps. I will have to teach women how to breastfeed their children while lying on the ground. Breastfeed children on the ground in Europe. Teresa and Ahmed inspired our campaign called Casa Nostra Casa Vostra, which means our home, your home. As I told you before, I traveled to Greece a year ago. I'm a journalist. At that time, I hosted a radio show, and we decided to broadcast live from the refugee camps there in Greece. I traveled with my radio team and with Charango, which is a Catalan music band who played live from the refugees. And they created incredible moments playing music in the middle of that sadness. It was really inspiring. And I had in my show 2 Catalan volunteers who were working with children, especially with children in the camp. They organized an amazing workshop where children got capes and masks, as you can see here, and they turned into superheroes, the camp superheroes. They were Lara Costafreda, which is an illustrator. She was supposed to be here today, and Ruben Wagensberg, who is a teacher. They both joined to my radio show. We didn't know each other when we went there, when we went to Greece, but once at home again, we decided to work together to build a massive campaign, a massive communication campaign that we called Casa Nostra Casa Vostra. We were worried about refugees crisis in Europe, and we had these 2 main goals: bring the refugees crisis back to the media and change public policies. Because this is not a natural disaster. This is a political crisis. And the only way to change things is to tell to our governments that we don't like their policies. They want to close down the borders, and we want to receive refugees. Spanish government agreed to receive 17,000 refugees, the majority from camps in Greece and Italy. And to date, Spain has brought only a little over 1,000 people. We knew most people here think this is inhuman. But they needed one campaign to join, one thing to do together. That's why we created this campaign. And first of all, we joined dozens of NGOs who were already working in cooperation and migration. The message we used during the campaign is very simple and very clear. We said, volem acollir, in Catalan, we want to receive refugees, and they are welcome here. We spread the message mainly on the internet, but also all around the country with flags in the balconies like this. And lots of different kinds of merchandising, like these t-shirts designed by famous illustrators in Catalonia, or this sweater. We went back to Greece once again to produce a TV documentary. We had interviews with refugees. They told us their stories and how they were living in the camps. And we asked to the public Catalan TV if they would broadcast it, and they did it. So we were already on TV, and this was so powerful for the campaign. We started also spreading the message all around the country. We collected signatures all over Catalonia. On the 4th and the 5th of February, We put tables to collect signatures in more than 100 villages. At the end of the campaign, we gathered more than 100,000 signatures all over Catalonia. And after this, we organized two main events. The first one was a huge concert in Palau Sant Jordi. Iconic singer-songwriters like Joan Manuel Serrat and Lluís Llach were in it. Inside the arena, there were 16,000 people and 400,000 watched it on TV. More than 50 pop bands performed there in this concert. And we could show to the world, this was very important for us because we could show to the world how singers, artists, and people from the cultural world said, refugees welcome. The concert was a big TV spot for our demonstrations, which was the final event in the campaign. It was just 1 week after the concert. We wanted to create the biggest demonstration in Europe for the refugees, and we did it. We actually did it. It was one of the biggest demonstrations in Barcelona history. This is the picture, the powerful picture we sent to the world. We honestly think people is ready to receive refugees, to build a more comprehensive society, and change borders policies in Europe. We can't wait. This is our final message. We can't wait, we cannot wait, and we have to do it now. Thank you.
In randomness, we trust.